Every week, another AI tool, 3D modeler, VFX demo, or video generator. And now I see comments all over about creative work being done, art going away, or it's time to give up. Artists look at AI, they look at the industry, and they're deciding it's over. There's no point in creating anymore. AI is moving faster than we can process, and corporations aren't going to slow down, and they don't care about our feelings. Creative jobs are changing overnight, but if we stop creating, we give up what's truly valuable. So if you're someone who wants to make things, this is why I think making your art is more important now than ever. All right, hey, I'm Jay, and this is going to be my AI video. I didn't want to make this. I didn't want to make one of these because I think there's already too much speculation going on about AI, and it's impossible to predict the future. I also didn't feel like I had anything really unique to add to the conversation. There's some great artists that have been advocating and speaking on this topic all over YouTube and different creative industries, and I thought they're doing a fine job and I had nothing to add to it. And also, I didn't feel personally threatened. I just know myself, a lot of my contemporaries are gonna just keep making their art and keep doing the things that they want to do the way they've been doing them. That's how I feel. I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. And so I kind of just had headphones on, and I'm just like, all right, you guys all talk about AI and I'm gonna keep doing my thing. And I feel very confident and self-assured about that. But I realized that's a privileged position to be in, and I'm at a place in my career, kind of, art, that I can do that I'm afforded the ability to do that, and not everyone thinks that. And I've been getting comments on videos that are more negative trending about the future of art and AI, and I'll occasionally get messages or emails asking me if it's worth doing this, if it's worth learning to 3D model. That's really what spurred me on to make this video. I want to share my perspective as a game artist about kind of AI in the future. I want to talk about why art still matters and what happens if we stop. So the three main criticisms that I hear from the opposition of this AI stuff is: one, the ethical sourcing of the data that these models are built on. Two is the huge environmental impact and concerns that it takes to power this thing. And three is the impact on careers or general disruption of the job market and unpredictable future. All valid concerns, 100% agree with those, but I don't think that that'll amount to this stopping. In reality, I just don't think you can stop something this big with the incentives so strong for these big corporations. Ultimately, businesses don't care. They don't care about how we feel about it. They don't care about ethics. If we've looked at the history, the number one thing is profits, and they're going to do that as long as it's within the confines of the legal system. Sometimes they don't even stay in there, but that's just what it is. And I also think these major concerns, two of them are going to be addressed. One is a lot of these big companies are making their own data models. Everyone's going to start making their own data models rather than sharing the shared ones. And I think by the time legislation can catch up and go, hey, you cannot use AI that's based on these models anymore, they go, okay, and they just switch to the ones they're building now from internal data, stuff that they own, right? They're going to find a way to make that work. Next is the environmental concerns. Right now, it takes a huge amount of power, and I think they're losing money on how they're charging people. But these big companies like Google and others are creating like essentially nuclear power plants near their businesses to be able to run this in the future in an energy efficient way, and so that they can start making money. Because right now they're not even making money, and they're burning up a ton of energy to do it. I think ironically, AI is probably going to spur the use of nuclear power, which is strange to think that's what it took. But right now, again, the incentives are so strong for these corporations. They're going to do anything they can to make it work. You also see these huge deals. I mean, companies are spending billions of dollars on this infrastructure, hundreds of millions of dollars in signing bonuses for some of these like 24-year-old whiz kids and stuff. So, I mean, these corporations are playing a competitive game with each other, trying to jump on the next thing. They think it's the next big bubble or whatever. I don't think they're gonna stop, so I appreciate everyone doing what they can, and people that feel like they should fight or speak out against it or abstain from using these services or boycott them. Essentially, I think more power to you. But yeah, ultimately I don't think they're gonna stop. And to be frank, I've used AI before too. I use ChatGPT. I ask questions, I make recipes, I use it to transcribe videos, I use it to transcribe my voice to help write scripts, to help rewrite things. I think I represent what a lot of people are doing, which is a lot of people are using AI to do things that they either wouldn't normally do or they don't like doing. So since I like doing the kind of art I like to do, I do it that way. And then there's other people that don't care about art and they use it to generate art and they go, hey, look at this cool thing. Ultimately, what's going on right now, and I don't see any signs of slowing down. Morality is not the incentive, it's the profitability. And history shows us that business follows the money. So the bottom line is AI is gonna keep moving forward and no law or corporation will stop it. So then why make art anyways? That's ultimately what I wanted to talk about and why I made this video, because I get those questions, right? I think this comes from this common fear. If the industry is changing, if the jobs are changing and I can't really envision the future, what's the point? So I wanted to reiterate and talk about the true mindset for artists. The bottom line is you should do the kind of creative work that you want to do because you enjoy doing it. We do this for the love of the game. Your creative process is more important than the paycheck. So when I originally made this channel, one of the big reasons was to speak with people and put things out there for people like me that want to do certain kinds of art. And being a creative person, I'm just fully aware of the negative thinking that we do, that we twist ourselves up in knots to not do things and give ourselves excuses and stuff because it's scary and uncomfortable to try and create something. Okay, it just is. And I feel like this is now a boogeyman that people can point to, you know? If you're already feeling nervous and anxious about the future, if you don't know how to do certain things, then now there's a singular thing you can point to and say, oh, AI, dude, why even do it? Why I wanted to make this video, because I try and tell people as best I can, the right mindset for doing this sort of thing is if you can find, or if you can understand the kind of art you want to be doing, and then practice doing it and learn how to enjoy it, then you're good for the rest of your life. You can find a way to make the kind of art you want for the right reasons, and you can set that up in a way where you can do it long term. That's the overall mission. That's the goal. And if you can find a way to monetize it later, great. And if not, your life is still better. It's still a benefit to do creative things because you want to do them. And that's all easier said than done. It's hard to know what to do, what kind of art you like, what you want to say. That takes a lot of time and introspection and practice and experimentation. I hope people continue to do that. But for the money, for the career, for the specific job, that's never been a great strategy, okay? The future's always been unpredictable. I think now we just have this singular thing to point to, and it's making people that are already anxious about things more apprehensive to start. So I just want to continue saying, if you're interested in any kind of creative thing, do it because you're interested. Do it to learn more about it. Do it to see what it's like, what it feels like, try to make things, and continue to do that for itself. Career, money, and all that can be shifting around and be very unstable. Passion, you can keep steady. Another thing I want to highlight is that technology does not equal standards and practices, okay? So what I mean is, like, because AI is new, because these companies are pushing it, they really want you to use AI. They really want, it's in their best interest for AI to be awesome and everywhere and ever present and everyone uses it and all that stuff. A lot of people thinking that they need to use AI or that they should, or that, you know, there's kind of like a default thinking like, okay, well now we're going to use AI, right? Now to some small degrees, that's probably true. But again, I think people should just use it for what they want. I don't think you need it to be competitive. So I just wanted to underscore that, like, it doesn't mean you have to. There are plenty of people in all kinds of creative businesses that have not kept up with the most modern technology. There's still car companies that build cars by hand. There's still high fashion brands that make things by hand, and they make a limited quantity and it takes a long time, you know, and they don't use modern machines. And there's that artist Oliver Anthony who recently put out an album. You know, they just played music and recorded it like a live take. They didn't record all the tracks separate in a DAW or whatever it's called and mix it and retake it line by line, because a lot of artists do that nowadays. So it doesn't mean, hey, this is the new shiny technology, NVIDIA really wants me to use it, therefore I have to use it to stay competitive. That's not the case. You can do it however you want. You can make things however you want. It's ultimately about the skill and your voice and what you bring to the table, and not the technology that you use, okay? So I just wanted to highlight that. Another example of like doing things for the right reasons and then trying to monetize it later, I always like to point to Beeple and his story. Regardless of how you feel about Beeple nowadays or in general, I love his story and what it represents. And if you're not familiar, so Beeple's the CG artist, and he started doing these dailies where he would try to make some new creative artwork in the softwares that he was learning, which I think was Cinema 4D, but he was trying to learn. And so he made it a point to make an artwork every day. He got addicted to not breaking that streak. And so he did for years. He went unbroken streak every day, creating something to get better. And eventually he got good enough and it led him to careers and all these like freelance opportunities. And then in the NFT craze, he was able to sell the collection of his dailies for like $60 million or something insane, right? Now, is that going to happen again? Not exactly like that. But what happened was, here's someone who was creating art for what I would argue is the right reasons for free, right? He's not making money. It takes effort. He's disrupting his life to do it, to practice, to make something. And then later he's able to get a huge payday by some means that are completely new, and just no one could ever predict that. And that really is a good example of what happens. That is often what is happening, is you create things for the right reasons, you do it for a long enough time, it intersects with some kind of opportunity, and it might be able to work out. And that's really, again, I think just the only plan you can have. It can't be more specific than that. So create the things you want to for the right reasons, and then there might be opportunities later. That's why you make art, because you want to, because it's good for you, and because it's good for the world. All right, that brings me to the next point, which is your value as an artist, as a person. AI can mimic any style, and it's super fast. You can't compete with that, and it gets discouraging. People see AI stuff that looks amazing and they think, what's the point, right? AI can do a lot of things. It can mimic any style, as I said, right? And it's super fast. But there's one thing that AI will never be able to do, and that's be authentic. That's not what it does. It's like it takes things that exists and it boils it down to a new thing. Now, there are tons of applications for that, right? And there's lots of people that hire artists or want art for their project or business that don't care about authenticity, right? That's fine. But authenticity is your competitive edge. It is what you bring to the table. And it's why people, will still go to live concerts, right? You can listen to music for free on Spotify, but people will travel far to see people in person, to hear something in person. Even if it's not the best audio experience, there's something about the reality, the authenticity of being there and seeing the person in real life. And that's just true. That's what's human. Obviously, I'm sure you do too. I care about authenticity and stuff, especially in YouTube of all places. If you're watching someone and you feel like they're full of shit or something, or they're not being themselves, it's just, it's a huge turn off. We turn it off, right? Authenticity is something that's important. It can be hard to come by, and it's something that's unique to everyone. So just don't underestimate that, and trying to be yourself, doing things that you care about, what you think are the right reasons, saying what you want to say, doing the things you want to do. That's what would be unique. That's what is one of a kind, is your thoughts and opinions. And I think that's always been the case. Whether or not people can even put their finger on it, I think we can always sense authenticity. I know it gets a little woo-woo, but I think it's a great way to create always. And I think it does put some kind of seasoning in what's made. I think we can kind of pick up on that. Some of the most resonant games and stories and creative works are coming from an authentic place. I think the ones that really transcend, like in the Wukong game, it's made by Chinese developers, and the subject matter is old Chinese mythology, stories that they are aware of, and they're putting in parts of their culture, their creative design, the myth and legends that they're familiar with on like a deep level. And then when they bring it to the world, it feels like this fully fleshed out thing because they understand it at such a deep, nuanced level, and they're putting pride in their own voice into doing it, right? They're really creating this game now that feels completely unique to people that are outside of that culture and experience, and it made something that transcended. Famously, Tolkien wrote The Lord of the Rings, and based on his first-hand experiences in World War I and his interest and passion for ancient languages and myths. And he combined it to create his own new myth and, you know, again, experiences from the war and the Batman and his friends who passed away and all that stuff. So you get this completely unique vision that on the one hand is completely new and alien to everyone that's engaging with it, but at the same time feels somehow completely applicable and very real and very relatable. So as synthetic content continues to flood in to our lives, authenticity becomes rarer and so more valuable. The future is unpredictable. AI seems like it's here to stay, and businesses and laws aren't going to be what saves art. The only way the kinds of art and creative things that you really like will disappear is if we, the artists, stop making them. And like I said before, I'm not worried about me. Like, I know I'm gonna keep doing my thing. I know a lot of my contemporaries or coworkers or artists that have been doing things 15, 20 years on. We're gonna keep doing our thing. We already know that it's a lifelong pursuit. A lot of people have found the kinds of creative things they like doing. But the future of this art form, like 3D modeling and character modeling and rendering, that I love so much, is not really dependent on me to carry it on. It's the next people. And I want this art form to keep going. I love it. It's super interesting and it's giving me everything I have, and I'm obsessed and I'm passionate about it. So I hope it just continues on just because I love this sort of art form. I'm gonna keep doing the kind of art that I like to do. I'm gonna keep talking about it. I'm gonna keep making tutorials and sharing information about it for other people that are interested in it too. But if it is gonna continue on, it comes down to the next people, the people that are gonna start, the people that are gonna learn and keep going. So to answer the original question that sometimes people ask me, should I learn this? Should I start this? Even though, you know, the future is doom and gloom or whatever. Absolutely. So whatever it is that you love, if it's games, writing, music, or 3D modeling, don't stop, is what I would say. The world needs more real artists now than ever, because if art really dies, it's not going to be because of AI. It's going to be because of people like you and me not making it. So keep making your art.